Oh, hi. Sorry, running a little bit late. It's what, 8:10. Been running madly around the house trying to find the bits and pieces to do this live stream because tonight's all about distressing. Sorry I missed you last week. Last week we were at retreat from last Wednesday and I said I was going to do Wednesday night and it just didn't happen. By the time we get dinner sorted and that sort of stuff, I know excuses, but anyway, we had an amazing time at retreat. It was cold, but we were warm. We had the fires going. So we got so much stuff done. It was amazing. I still haven't unpacked yet. And I'm recovering. I just want to sleep at the moment, but anyway, maybe I'm fighting something. I hope all the girls who came to retreat had a great time. I am looking at dates for next year. I'm hoping possibly to get in at the Sunshine Coast in March and then go back up to the mountains again in August. But we will see how we go. So tonight I'm going to flip the camera in a second and we're going to do some distressing. On the sheet that I sent out last month, you might be missing the distressing, a couple of the distressing pages. So I will update those because I just went through my book and I couldn't find any printouts there. So I'm going to print those out and put those in with this month's newsletter. So if you don't get the newsletter, let me know. So I'm just going to flip the camera around and then we're going to get started. Hi Karen, hi Judy. All right, so get this little beastie sorted. I became an auntie again this week. It's very exciting. Baby's finally got a name. Her name is Ava Marie. Hopefully that's going to focus. Yes. Okay. Alrighty. So let's get this going. Hopefully you can see I've got my sheet here. And basically, first up, we're going to start with a one of our distressing tools. I'm pretty sure we don't stock it anymore, but I'm going to show you two ways to distress your cardstock. Oh, well, there's more than two ways, but the first two I'm going to show you with a tool or a pair of scissors. So I think I'm going to play with some charcoal cardstock. So the first one is a distressing tool. So as I said, we've got this one, or we had this one. This one is one from an opposition. I've seen ones very similar that are on strings, that sort of stuff. You know, it doesn't matter. Basically what it is just a little blade on all corners, and it does make your life a little bit easier because basically you can go up or down, it doesn't matter. Our cardstock works amazing with these distressing tools because we've got a white edge, so you do see that whiteness and the distressed edge, and it rips nicely and it's just fabulous. It's a way to get things aged a little bit. You can hear me chomping. And if you want it really, look, I'm getting flakes. If you want it really chunky, you can just give it a good going over and you can sort of gouge it. And so I'll hold that up and let you have a look. I don't know if you could. Oh, thanks, Karen. So that's just distressing. And our cardstock is double-sided, so you've got lighter on one side and darker on the other. All right, so that's as simple as that one. You can get the same effect using your scissors. Now, I've seen some girls use their scissors just on the back edge there. It's probably a lot safer that way. Some girls open their scissors like this. Hi, Ange. And do it that way. It's entirely up to whatever you feel comfortable with. Obviously, like that, if you use the inside of your scissors, you will get cuts and gouges, but sometimes that's what you want. So I leave that entirely up to you. I sometimes do whole 12 by 12s distressing like this. I might just do some photo mats. It's all about texture, really. But like I said, you can use the inside or the outside. You get a similar effect. Look at all those flakes. It's a dusty job. All right, so that's two. I've used the CTMH distressing tool and I've used the scissors. I'm standing up to do this, so that way I can see your comments and see how we go. Now, the next one that I've got written down is tearing. All right, so imagine this. It's this small piece of paper is your 12 by 12 page, and you want to put a strip across it. I might even use a different piece. Imagine that's the page, and you want to put a strip across it, and I want to put a strip of this green over it. So if I want the white edge to show, where I've got my thumb there and where I always pull towards myself. And if you pull towards yourself, the piece in your left hand, or depending on what you are, the piece in your left hand is going to have the white raw edge. So that's the way I do it, towards myself. You can use a tearing tool if you're not confident. Some people don't like tearing, and if you like tearing naturally or organically, if you wanted to do the other side, as I said before, our cardstock is double-sided and it's a slightly different shade. I could put this bit here in behind if I wanted to, or flip it around if I flipped it around that way. All right, so again, if I'm the other way, if I tear away from myself, I'm not going to see what I'm tearing, but you can see on this side. You've just got to concentrate on which side you want to appear, all right? So in that instance, I pulled this side towards me and the other side away from me. That's tearing, very easy. Has great effects on your pages. The next thing, and I know I'm rushing through, but I don't want to keep you all night, and you can watch it and go back over it. Another way to add like a distressed look to your papers, cardstock, pages is with ink. So the next way that I would do it is you can do this stamp pad to the edges method. So basically you get a piece of cardstock and you might start off just rubbing on the edges, and naturally sometimes you're going to get a solid piece on there, and you just keep going and adding as you want. All right, so that's one way to put colour on some card in a distressing way. Another way is our sponges. So I like to cut up the little orange sponges we've got. I usually get 8 little sponges out of it. It's just like cutting a cake. Some of the girls I've seen have put stapled tabs on there and write the colour. That's a good thing. I need to get my finger out and do that. Hi, Teresa. Hi, Penny. All right. So the other way is by sponging. On this piece of card, I'm going to show 2 different ways. So I've got my Lagoon inked here. So remember, our ink pads are amazing in that you squeeze the lid, you get some ink in the lid. I'm going to pick up the ink on my sponge, and then I'm going to sponge the edges. So I'm just going to do 2 sides. The other way to get colour with a sponge, if you've got the tools, is a sponge dauber. Stick him on your finger. I'm going to use pink for this one. Again, into the lid. You can go directly on to the stamp pad, but I'm just going to go into the lid. With a sponge dauber, it's a lot more controlled. It hasn't got as much movement as what a sponge does or the stamp pad. So depending on how much ink you want to get where will depend on how much, what tool you use, okay? So that's that one. And what I would do, I would go and write, this one was the dauber and this one was the sponge. That one was stamp pad to edges. I'm just going to move this piece of paper out because I'm about to make a mess. All right, so I'm going to try out our blue sapphire shimmer brush. Another way to get a distressed look on your cardstock, you could use a shimmer brush, you could use a water brush. I'm going to show you both techniques in a second. If I can find a water brush that's got some water in it. It's here somewhere. I'll get my little pencil case out. No water. Come on. It's all right, I'll steal some water out of a spritzer because I'm going to show you the spritzer as well. So, I'm just going to steal some water from my spritzer. get water everywhere. That's enough. Hope everybody's got their lotto ticket in. Oh, you might be wasting your time because I'm going to win. I'm only joking. Okay, so shimmer brush. There's a trick with the shimmer brush. Oh, I've made a bit of a mess on that already. The dark ones tend to be, could be a little bit messy for this, but anyway, I'm going to give it a squeeze. So sometimes you just might need to give it a bit of a squeeze start to load up the pen, and you can get it on your paper or on the universal mat there, but you can distress your paper just by squeezing it a little bit and then tapping it onto your cardstock. Okay, and that's a little bit shiny. I'm going to have to clean that up, make sure I stand him up for the moment because it's going to be messy. Another way to get, sorry, I'm a little bit fighting, I think I'm fighting a sickness, so I'm a bit nasally tonight, is the other way you can use the shimmer brush is you can actually use a re-inker and pop some ink on a block if you want to, or you can use a stamp pad like I was just about to. So you can add some re-inker on there, on that block. You can squeeze a bit of water, swirl it all around, and it's the same thing. Now you can get that same effect by using your stamp pad on a block and adding a little bit of water. All right, so that's putting colour there as well, and I haven't left myself any cleanup. So that's two more. So water brush or shimmer brush, adding some colour. You can also put re-inker on a block and squeeze some clear shimmer brush on there if you don't have the shimmer brush in the colour, and then you can have sparkly splatters on your paper. Another one is you can actually take this ink here and just do splatters straight onto a piece of cardstock. I'm going to use a bigger piece for this because the small piece is not going to work well. I've got too much. Or if you grab another ink block, you can squish them together. Whoa. And you can just, it's not working how I want it to. But you can fill that up again and again and do a pattern paper there. That's like a distressing technique. And if you add water or, what am I looking for? Or you could even add the cleaner, our spritzer, that has a different effect on ink as well. It makes it sort of a different pattern. And you could do multi-layers there. It's a bit like that bubble painting, you know. And so that was without any re-inker put on there. That's just that lighter shade. So that's another one. All right, next. So I'll put these two away. I'm all inky. Oh dear. Okay, so that's that page done though. Done, dilly-un. And as I said, I'm going to send that out to you. All right. Next is a spritz and scrunch. So sometimes I'm just going to use this re-inker here. Sometimes you want like a really organic sort of crunkly old effect. So what you can do, you can take your spritzer, take a piece of cardstock, give it a spritz, crunkle it up. All right. If you wanted to, it gives it like a leather look. If you want, and like you could give it a bit more of a spritz if you wanted to. If you wanted to, you could rub your ink pad over the sponge and highlight some of those wrinkles. If you give it a real good scrunch, you should be able to see some of the white of the cardstock fibres coming out. But you could do that and stick that on the page. It's a spritz and scrunch. Hi, Tracy. All right. Over here, I've got the old CTMH nail file. It could be any nail file. You could go and buy one at Kmart. There's another old nail file. A nail file is a great way to add texture. So I'm going to use this piece of cardstock. Oh no, I've got pink ink on my Pretty cards. I better put those away because I don't want to have to do them again. All right. The coarser the file, the better. But again, because our cardstock's got a white core, it distresses really nice. You could even just distress the whole front of it as well and give it I would almost say a beachy look. You could do this too, and I'll cover that in our embossing session. You could run it through the embossing machines for an embossing folder and then sand it back. So that's another technique. That's sandpaper or a nail file. Another one they showed us when I first started and I was at Leaders was a salt rub. So you basically, it's just as I say, you get out the rock salt, and I think I might need a container for this. Just hold up. I'm going to get this little container, some white, actually I might use some black. Sprinkle some salt in there. Oh, that's too much, but anyway. And basically you can either rub the salt into the paper or you can rub the paper into the salt. It gives like a lumpy sort of scratch impression, and it's not working how I want it to. Isn't it always the way? It actually worked better at convention a few years ago. I can't remember how they did it. I just thought, oh well. You can actually use salt when you're watercolouring as well. If you watercolour and then you sprinkle salt on there, it will draw out some of the colour and give you some light spots. So that didn't work that great, but there is a better way to do it, and I can't remember how they did it. It may have been something like that, because then you get like the little pock marks. All right. What else was I going to do? There was, oh, I know. I've got it all here laid out. Another one is this spritzers. So you can use anything. You can use old bottles of these. You can use these spritzers that we carry. I think Ranger has some little mini ones. Basically, you fill one of these with water and then you put a few drops of re-inker in there to the desired colour. You can mix colours. And then it's a simple case of, depending on how far you want to be, you can be close or you can be far away. And look at that. You can mask too. Look at that. By mistake. I've made a bit of a mess. But obviously the closer you are, the more control you've got. If you're further away, it spritzes everywhere. There's one more. And it's using, the last one I want to show you, and I'll have to get some white, is using a baby wipe. So basically you just pick up some ink on your baby wipe, grab your white, and this gives you a little bit more of a subdued effect. Because the baby wipe is wet, it draws some of the ink out, so it's a little bit lighter than the other one we did. If I can find it. I'll put it in a safe spot. Oh, it's gone. But anyway, it's a little bit more subdued. So hopefully you've picked something up about that. Most of it is fairly basic, and I know you all know how to do it, but it's just a reminder that these are some techniques that you can use to distress your pages. Thanks for listening, and I hope to see you next week. Bye.